Hey, beautiful souls. Oh, welcome to Soulful Saturdays with Saylor. Around here, we cut through the noise, ditch the fluff, and dive straight into what matters: spiritual wellness, radical self acceptance, and unapologetic soulful living. Each week, I'll bring you truth with a side of sass, reflections that wake you up, and reminders that you are glorious. So, whether you've got your journal, your coffee, or that wild, messy bun, you are exactly where you need to be. Softening doesn't mean shrinking, it means staying rooted while staying open. Now, let that sit for a minute. It means staying rooted while staying open, softening. Because I know how that word soft can hit. For the longest time, I thought soft meant weak. Like if I soften, I'd get walked all over. If I wasn't strong and firm and holding it all together, everything would fall apart. I remember thinking, nope, I have to keep it tight. I have to stay in control. I have to make sure everyone is okay. Sound familiar? Because somewhere along the way, we were taught that being the good one, the easy one, the strong one, meant putting ourselves on the back burner. And we got really good at it, smiling when we didn't feel like smiling, saying yes when everything inside of us was whispering no, keeping the peace while losing our own. And here's the part I want to lovingly call out: that's not softness, that's self abandonment, wearing a pretty dress. Yeah, I said it. Because true softness, it doesn't disconnect you from yourself. It grounds you deeper into who you are. It says, I can be kind and still have a boundary. I can love you and still choose me. I can stay open without giving myself away. That's a different kind of power. That's the kind of power that doesn't need to prove anything. The kind that doesn't come from pressure, but from presence. And let me tell you something. I had to learn the real way. You don't lose people by having boundaries. You lose yourself by not having them. So if you've been feeling stretched, drained, a little disconnected from you lately, this might be your moment. Not to harden, not to shut down, but to soften just the right way. To come back home to yourself, rooted, grounded, and still open to everything meant for you. Now let's shift this, because this is where everything starts to change. Not on the outside, but on the inside. Flow isn't lazy. Let's just sit with that for a second. Because I know somebody listening is already side-eyeing me with that word. Like, okay, Cindy, but if I don't keep pushing, nothing gets done. I hear you. I was you. Flow is aligned action without resistance. So let me say that again, because this is where people get it twisted. Flow is not doing nothing. Flow is doing what feels right without fighting everything. It's showing up, but not strangling the outcome. It's trusting while you're still taking steps. It's moving without the inner panic of, this has to work. Because that energy right there, that this has to work energy, that's not alignment. That's fear with the clipboard. That's you trying to manage the outcome, the timing, the people, the reactions, all of it. And no wonder you're tired. You're doing your part and trying to do everyone else's part and trying to control how it turns out. That's not flow. That's force. And force feels like this. You're overthinking every move. You're second guessing yourself after already that you made a decision. You're checking, rechecking, replaying conversations in your head like it's a full Netflix series. Been there. Season 5, episode. Why did I say that? But flow feels different. Flow feels like you make the decision and you stand in it. You say what needs to be said and you let it land. You take the step and you trust, then the next one will reveal itself. It's lighter, not because life suddenly got easier, but because you stopped making it so heavy. And here's where it gets even deeper. Flow requires trust. And not the cute surface level, I trust the process that we post about. I'm talking about real trust, the kind that says, even if it doesn't go the way I planned, I'll be okay. Even if they don't respond how I hoped, I still choose me. Even if the shifts that I trust myself to, even the shifts, I trust myself to handle it. That's a different level of trust. Because now your peace isn't attached to the outcome. Now your worth isn't attached to whether it works or not. Now you're not gripping life, you're walking with it. And let me tell you something that might hit a little. A lot of what we call hard work is actually a resistance. We're pushing where we're not aligned. We're forcing timelines that don't feel right. We're holding on to things that our spirit already outgrew. And instead of listening, we push harder. Because slowing down feels scary. Letting go feels uncertain. And trusting, whew, that feels like a risk. But you know that what's actually riskier? Staying in something that's draining you. Forcing something that's not flowing. Continuing to override yourself. That's the real cost. So what does flow actually look like in real life? It might look like pausing before you respond instead of reacting. It might look like saying, let me think about it, instead of the automatic yes. It might look like taking a step back instead of pushing forward out of panic. It's subtle, but powerful. It's not loud. It's not rushed. It's intentional. And here's the sweet spot. Flow doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you're no longer at war with yourself while you're moving through it. Let that land. Let that land in every essence of your being. You're no longer at war with yourself. You're still showing up. You're still doing the thing. You're still taking action. But now you're doing it from alignment, not anxiety. From trust, not tension. From truth, not fear. And beautiful soul, that changes everything. Because when you stop forcing, you finally make space for what actually fits you to flow in. Hmm. So let's get real for a minute, because this is where it actually shows up in your life. Not in the big dramatic moments, but in the everyday little ones that quietly add up. You know the ones. Someone asks you for a favor, and before they even finish the sentence, you already feel it. That little pause, that tightness in your chest, that whisper that says, I don't really want to do this. But what do? You smile and you say, yeah, sure. And then later, you're sitting there like, why did I just agree to that? Right? I remember when I used to do that all the time. I would say yes in the moment and then spend hours, sometimes days, feeling drained, irritated, and honestly, a little resentful. Not at them, at me. Because deep down, I knew I had just abandoned myself. And nobody teaches us that part. Nobody tells us that every time you override that inner voice, you create a little crack in your own trust with yourself. Now let's flip it. Same situation. Someone asks you for something, you feel that same pause, that same tightness. But this time, you honor it. You take a breath and you say, hey, I can't commit to that right now. And I know, some of you just felt uncomfortable even hearing that, because your mind immediately goes to, what are they going to think? What if they're upset? What if I disappoint them? And here's where we gently bring it back. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions. Mm, that's a good one. It's true. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions. You can be kind, you can be respectful, but you do not have to twist yourself into a pretzel to keep everyone comfortable. That's not love. That's self-sacrifice on autopilot. And listen, I'm not saying go out here and be harsh and cold. That's not your vibe. That is not your vibe. We're talking about soft boundaries. And soft boundaries sound like this. I'd love to support, but I don't have the capacity right now. It could also be, that doesn't work for me, but thank you for thinking of me. Or how about, I need some time before I give you an answer. And how about, I hear you, and I'm going to do what feels right for me. Do you feel that? There's no edge, no attitude, no over explaining, just truth with calm energy. And here's what's wild. When you start showing up like this, two things happen. The right people, they respect it. The ones who don't, they reveal something. Yeah. Because people who benefited from you having no boundaries might feel a little uncomfortable when you start having them. But that discomfort, that's not your responsibility to fix. So let me give you another real life moment. You know, when you're in a conversation and someone says something that doesn't sit right with you? Before, you might have laughed it off, changed the subject, kept the peace, but inside, you felt it. You know you did. Now imagine this. You pause and you say gently, hey, that didn't really sit well with me. That's it. No speech, no drama, just honesty. Do you know how powerful that is? Because now you're staying in the conversation without leaving yourself. That's the shift. And let me say this part clearly. Boundaries don't push people away. They show people how to stay. Because when you're constantly overgiving, over-explaining, over-adjusting, people aren't actually connecting with you. They're connecting with the version of you that keeps the peace. And that's exhausting. But when you start honoring yourself, not your relationship, now your relationships get real because you're honoring yourself. Cleaner, clearer, more honest, because you're no longer showing up halfway. You're showing up whole. And listen, you're not going to get it perfect every time. You're still going to have moments where you say yes too fast, where you overthink later, where you catch yourself like, yep, I did it again. And that's okay. This isn't about perfection, it's about awareness. It's about catching it a little sooner next time. It's about pausing a little longer before you respond. It's about choosing yourself one moment at a time. Because every time you do, you rebuild trust with yourself. And that right there, that's where your power comes from. Not from controlling everything, not from pleasing everyone, but from knowing that I've got me. And when you've got you, you don't have to force connection. You don't have to chase approval. You don't have to stand. You get to stand in your truth. Stay open and let everything else meet you there. Now, here's what starts to happen when you soften with boundaries. Not the old version of soft, the one where you disappeared. I'm talking about the kind of soft where you're rooted in you. Life starts to feel different. Not perfect, but lighter. Because you're not carrying everything anymore. You're not over explaining. You're not replaying every conversation in your head. You're not lying awake thinking, did I say the right thing? Did I do too much? Not enough? No. You said what felt true. And you let it be. And you let it be enough. Relations start to feel cleaner. You're not guessing where you stand. You're not silently building resentment while smiling on the outside, because now you're showing up honestly. And here's the beautiful part. When you stop over giving, the right people step forward. The ones who see you, the ones who respect you, the ones who don't need you to shrink to stay connected. And that resentment you used to carry, it starts to dissolve because resentment is often just unspoken truth. Yeah, all those moments that you didn't say what you needed, didn't honor what you felt, didn't listen to that inner nudge, that adds up. But when you start choosing yourself gently, consistently, oh, that weight, it lifts. And your compass, the inner knowing, the quiet voice that always been there, it gets louder, clearer, stronger. Because now you're actually listening. You're not drowning it out with noise, pressure, or people pleasing. You're trusting it. And that change And that changes how you move through everything. Decisions feel easier. Conversations feel honest. Your energy feels more yours. You're no longer asking, what do they need from me? You're asking, what feels aligned for me? And beautiful one, that right there, that's coming home to yourself. So here's what I want you to take with you this week. Before you respond, pause. Just a moment, just a breath, and ask yourself, is this coming from alignment or approval? Not what's easiest, not what keeps everyone happy, but what feels true for you. And then trust the answer. Even if the voice shakes a little, even if it feels new, even if it's uncomfortable at first, because every time you choose alignment over approval, you strengthen your relationships with yourself. And that is the most important relationship you will ever have. You don't have to force your way into spaces that don't honor you. You don't have to shrink to keep people comfortable. You get to be soft and strong, open and grounded, loving and self-honoring as you move through this week. Remember, you matter, your voice matters, your boundaries matter, and what is meant for you, it won't require you to abandon yourself to receive it. And that, my beautiful souls, is your episode on Stop Forcing and Start Flowing. Thank you for tuning in, beautiful souls. Take this week to listen to the whispers and remember, your soul knows the way. And as you move through your week, carry this truth in your heart. You are worthy, you are radiant, and your presence matters. And never forget, stay soulful, stay sassy, stay you. I'll see you next Saturday, beautiful soul. Same time, same vibe, same glorious energy.